So apparently there's some gay atheist that has a problem with me. Basically his complaint is that he made a video that made stupid arguments against me and that people called him on that, and now he's claiming that it was satire, even though he was making the exact same arguments he would have been if he had been serious. So he begins the video by comparing the DPRK to AIDS, that neither one of these things should be defended. Of course, that's an absolutely ridiculous comparison. In fact, it's a complete... Or is this you doing satire again? But it's not long before he gets down to his actual criticisms, and that is over the statues. There's a lot of statues in the DPRK. Of course, he doesn't actually give us a number which would indicate what number is too many, so he's actually giving an incomplete argument. One that doesn't actually refute the one that I gave, which is there are statues in both countries. So it doesn't even actually deal with my argument, and he doesn't even fully, completely form his argument that basically doesn't exist. So then he moves on to baseless assertions, that everybody in the DPRK thinks Kim Il-sung, Kim Il-jong is a god and has the power to control the weather, and that everybody believes in this, even though there's actually not a single source for this whatsoever, and that is quoted from anonymous North Korean intelligence official. But that's par for the course for DPRK haters. Believe absolutely insanely outrageous claims with absolutely nothing to back it up, and then accuse the population of North Korea of doing the exact same thing. Also, as per usual, it's ignored that many people have been to the DPRK, have asked the people of North Korea if they believe things like that. They say no, and it's still touted that they do. For example, a friend of mine, Stimmy Koreas, has been there a ton of times. He knows people don't believe that. It's another complete lie. But just keep repeating it, because if you repeat it often enough, everybody will believe it. Well, actually they do. Now after this, he goes to claiming that the DPRK is a one-party system, that the Workers' Party controls everything, controls all the media in the country. Well, actually, in reality, there are actually 4 parties in the DPRK. Be sure to reply at some time with saying they're not real parties, they're just for show. And that if I was to make an equal comparison, I could say that the Conservative Party, who runs Canada Now, controls the state media that we have. And also, he doesn't bother to differentiate between the state owning something, the state controlling it, or the state regulating it, which are 3 different things. Of course, the media in the DPRK is owned by the state. But can you prove that it's actually controlled by the state? I mean, it probably is. It most very likely is. But you're the one making the assertion. Can you back that up? Like every other point you make, no. Interestingly, you do make an accurate correction, that Mount Rushmore doesn't contain all founding fathers. I'm glad that, and that is a mistake on my part, I'm glad to see that an American knows American history better than someone who's not American. Now, maybe if you could demonstrate this knowledge with the rest of the countries in the world, the rest of the countries in the world wouldn't think Americans are a bunch of idiots. Okay, now you move on to straw-manning me on the origins of the DPRK. The modern state that we have right now in the DPRK was founded by Kim Il-sung. That's what I was saying. So you're straw-manning me by trying to change my argument. And yes, the country was founded on the war, because at one time, North Korea, during the war, almost had the entire peninsula. It was the UN that came in and pushed North Korea back. You are correct in correcting me that it was actually the UN and not NATO. Seeing as how I do see NATO and the UN as being the same organization and tend to use the 2 titles interchangeably, that's my mistake. It's a bad habit I have, and I do need to correct that. Although, interestingly, it doesn't actually alter my argument or refute my argument in any way. Oh, and despite what you falsely claimed, I do know why people don't like the DPRK. This is something that's just completely and utterly made up by you. Now that question you have, how does this guy have so many subscribers and views? Because I produce content that people want to see, which is why they click on the video. Do you not understand why people don't watch your videos, why you have so few views and almost no subscribers? Because you suck. and as a result, your videos suck. I love your idiotic misconception that Marxists are against luxuries. That's completely untrue. That's literally something anti-communist douches like you just completely make up. Of course we believe in luxuries. That's the point, is to make people's lives better by taking the means of production into the hands of the workers to enrich their own lives, to bring those same luxuries to themselves that the ruling class uses. This idea that we're supposed to all live like Buddhist monks under communism is something that you've made up in your own mind. There's no writings by Marx that says luxuries are a bad thing. In fact, there's actually a document called Theory of the Leisure Class, which says people should be given free time to do whatever it is they want. Of course, that document is usually straw man to me. People should be able to lie around and do nothing. I'm gay and an atheist. Take that, Mom and Dad. Oh, and by that, I mean I'm just doing satire. So basically your video is a bunch of baseless assertions, a couple of ad hominem attacks, and a couple of corrections that don't actually counter or refute anything I've said. So your complaint that people criticize you for not making a real argument, you still haven't made a real argument. Oh, and you have a nice day too.